and welcome to our week verb in the Cal tense. One of the things I want to bring to your attention is that it's extremely important for you to have memorized your Cal strong verb paradigm. Once you've memorized your Cal verb strong paradigm, it'll just be a matter of recognizing the differences or the distinctions that are in the weak verbs. So if you have not yet memorized your Cal strong verb paradigm, you'll want to go back and make certain that you are very familiar with that and can recite the Cal strong verb paradigm at any time. But moving on to the weak verbs. In certain forms, you're going to have what we refer to as weak verbs. Now, these two that I have up here for you, these are the 1 and 2 guttural paradigms. Everything stays the same in the first and second guttural paradigms, except for you have the hatef patha, and it's going to appear under the guttural consonant instead of the vocal schwa. And this spelling change is caused by the fact that gutturals cannot take the vocal schwa, so they're going to want to lengthen, and the vocal schwa is going to disappear, and it's going to be replaced by the hatef patha. And this is true for both 1 and 2 gutturals. Now, these materials that I'm showing you, they're also contained in your book in just in a slightly different form. And I'm going to change my settings here so I can, there we go, that's better for me. This paradigm that I have for you here is the Cal Perfect Weak. And you have first, second, and third het ion verbs and the strong all side by side. This is also in your book on page 152 or 14.2. Now, you can see here that mine is marked in red, yours is not, but the changes are in red. And you can see that there are very few changes between the strong, first, second, and third het and ion gutturals. So, in the first and second guttural paradigms, the vocal schwa changes to the reduced A vowel, the hatef patha, because of the presence of the guttural consonants. Now, because the changes in vocalization are minor and follow a standard rule, there's no real need to memorize this first and second guttural paradigm. What you should memorize is the rule that governs these changes. Once again, it's important to have memorized your Cal Perfect paradigm, Cal Perfect strong verb paradigm. If you know the strong verb paradigm and the rule governing the gutturals and the vocal schwa, then you really don't have to memorize these paradigms here. And that's a lot of stuff to not have to memorize. Let me hold it there for you for a second so that you can see it better. In the 3 het and ion paradigm, the silent schwa under the guttural of the second feminine singular form changes to a patha. This is the only change that occurs in this weak verb class. So there's no need to memorize the full paradigm for just one change. You can see it right there. The vocal schwa changes to a patha. And so, again, if you know your Cal Perfect strong verb paradigm, you know the rules that follow your schwas, then and your gutturals, then all this is a matter of rehearsing those rules and not having to memorize 10, 15, 20 different verbal paradigms. And so the goal is not to get you to memorize a million things. The goal is to get you to memorize what you need, and then know the rules that govern the changes in the other paradigms. And that will save you a great deal of time and will also facilitate your ability to learn Hebrew. Now, the next weak Cal verb that we're going to look at is the 3 ion. So this is the Cal Perfect weak 3 ion verb. Let me pull that back there and then hold it still so you can actually see it. And this is going to be found on 14.4 or page 153. Now, some of the things with the 3 aleph verbs, did I say ion? The 3 aleph verbs. The aleph is silent in every form. And the 3 aleph verbs exhibit the following pattern in the third masculine singular, and it's also the same in the lexical form. The stem vowel is comments in every form except third feminine singular and third common plural. The expected silent schwa under the third root consonant of many of the inflected forms is absent. And the third thing that you'll need to remember about the cow perfect weak 3 Aleph verb is that the doggish lean, normally present in the initial consonant of the 5 subformatives beginning with a ta, is absent. For example, the first common singular subformative ta, doggish lean, hirik yod, has become ta, hirik yod, and the doggish lean is lost. And this happens, the loss of the doggish lean is caused by the quiescing or the silencing of the aleph in pronunciation. When this happens, the ta is preceded by a vowel sound and therefore loses the doggish lean. Just very basic or simple rules. Again, that you don't have to memorize. You can see that the changes are very few. The patha in that second vowel position basically becomes a comments in the third masculine singular, and it stays the same in the third feminine singular. Again, the patha becomes a comments in the second masculine singular. The patha becomes a comments in the second feminine singular. The patha becomes a comments in the first common singular. The patha becomes a comments in the second masculine plural, and the same for the second feminine plural and the first common plural. So you see that if you can memorize the Cal Strong paradigm, and then the rules that govern the gutturals and the silent schwas, then this becomes not a fact of memorizing a paradigm, but just recalling the rules that you are already familiar with. And this governs the weak verbs. The next one that I want us to look at is the 3 hay verbs. And let's see what page that is in your book. It's going to start, yes, it starts on page 154. It's 14.6, and it goes through 14.7. So I'll hold this paradigm up for you to see, and hopefully I can hold it steady here. There we go. On the 3 hay verbs, the vowel pattern learned for the 3 aleph weak verbs in the third masculine singular is the same for the 3 hay verbs. The irregularities in the paradigm of this weak verb is occasioned by the loss of the final hay in every form. Now here are 4 basic rules for you regarding this 3 hay verb paradigm. The hay in the third masculine form is not the third root consonant, but a vowel letter used for the final vowel of this form. Note the ta in the third feminine singular form. This ta will distinguish the third feminine singular from the third masculine singular. In all second and first person forms, both singular and plural, the stem vowel is hirik yod. It's helpful to understand that 3 hay verbs were originally 3 yod, and the stem vowel of a form is reminiscent of the original consonant in the third root position. In the Cal conjugation, therefore, the diagnostic hirik yod stem vowel is going to help you to identify the 3 hay class of verbs. Now, fourthly, as in the 3 aleph paradigm, the doggish lean in the subformatives beginning with the tau is absent. So the doggish lean is lost in this. And again, this paradigm is also in your book, but I've got the changes in red on my sheet here, and it makes it a little bit easier for you to see. Now, the next one that we come to are the doubly weak. The doubly weak are those that have not just one guttural, but 2 gutturals in their spelling. And here again, we have some doubly weak for you. We have doubly weak in 1 and 3, and doubly weak in 2 and 3, and that's compared alongside your strong verb there. And again, the differences or the changes on my sheet are in red, so that makes it a little bit easier for you to identify and see. Now, I'm pretty much just reading from 14.9, in the textbook. In both doubly weak paradigms, the changes learned for three hey verbs are fully present. The loss of the final consonant hey in every form, the insertion of tau in the third feminine singular form, the presence of the diagnostic hirik-yod stem vowel, and the loss of the doggy shlin in the suffirmatives beginning with a tau. In these doubly weak verbal roots, the changes occasioned by the hey in the third root position are combined with the changes caused by the presence of an additional guttural consonant. These types of changes should be familiar to us by now. In the third feminine singular form, the expected vocal schwa under the guttural aleph has changed to hatef patha because a guttural cannot take a vocal schwa, but rather prefers the vowel hatef patha. For the same reason, the second masculine plural and second feminine plural forms have a hatef patha under the initial guttural consonant. Although the full memorization of these paradigms, of course, could be helpful, it's not really essential if you can just memorize the rules that go along with these. Now, this is some of the most difficult material that we'll cover this semester, is just getting these paradigms straight and knowing the strong verbs are going to be easy. Always, the strong verbs are easy. They provide no difficulty for us at all. And we spend extra time on the cow. We'll start off with the strong cow perfect and the weak cow perfect for the first semester, and then we'll pick up second semester and finish the cows, because over 70% of all Hebrew verbs are cows, and so that leaves the remaining stems divided between them to only take on 30%. So if you know your cows, your strongs, your weaks, your perfects, your imperfects, your jussives, if you know all of your cow stems and you're familiar with your cows, then you are familiar with 70% of the Hebrew verbs in the Hebrew Bible. And so that's why that's important. Again, I'm not pushing memorization on this. Once you memorize your cow strong paradigm, then you can, by just general rules, the rules governing the vocal schwa, the silent schwa, and the gutturals, you can figure out what's happening with these verbs, and it will not be a difficult thing for you. So go over and over and over again the rules and ideas that are given to you in chapter 14. Do your workbook material. Your workbook is your best friend, because by doing your work in the workbook, you get practice and you get to actually see and apply the things that you're learning. So with that, I'll have your quiz up probably by this time tomorrow, and I know you'll all do well.